Hey there, gardener. Have you ever imagined strolling through your backyard, plucking the juiciest, most perfect peaches straight from your own trees? Well, stick around because today I'm going to show you how to turn that dream into a delicious reality by giving you my top 5 tips on growing peaches in your own backyard garden. And as a sweet bonus, we will be harvesting all of these peaches at the end of this video. If you're new here, hello and welcome. My name is Jara and I teach others how to garden and grow food. I've been growing peaches for a few years now, and it's one of my absolute favorite fruit trees for the backyard home gardener because of how easy it is. Definitely recommend them if you're new to growing fruit trees. However, there are a few things you need to know to grow them successfully. The first tip is to choose the correct peach variety for your garden based on the amount of cold chill hours you receive during the winter. Let me explain. Cold chill hours refers to the number of accumulated hours during the winter when temperatures are between 32 and 45 degrees Fahrenheit in your area. I like to use this website to check how many cold chill hours I receive in my area. You put in your zip code, it shows you a map, pick the pin that is closest to you, and it will say how many cold chill hours your area or your garden accumulated last winter. A lot of fruit trees, not just peaches, require a certain amount of cold chill hours to break their winter dormancy, basically make it think it's gone through winter and now it's springtime, so now the tree needs to start flowering and then produce fruit. If a particular fruit tree doesn't get enough cold chill hours, it will struggle to break winter dormancy and flower. Using my garden as an example, I got 120 cold chill hours last winter. Therefore, I need to select a low cold chill hour peach cultivar. A great option is Florida Prince, which is what I'm growing right here. It requires about 150 or less cold chill hours. I didn't get 150 hours, but it still flowered and produced. You just need to get close to that requirement. If I chose one of the most popular peach cultivars grown in the state of Georgia, for example, it's called Georgia Belle, it would not grow well or produce for me, if any at all, because it requires 800 chill hours to break dormancy. I don't get anywhere near 800 chill hours per winter. I think the highest I ever noticed for my area was like 210 chill hours. Therefore, Georgia Belle is a good option for colder climates. The best thing for you to do is to visit a local nursery that carries fruit trees that fall within your area's cold chill hours. Here in Florida, our nurseries are full of fruit tree varieties bred to require very little cold chill hours. Or do your research before purchasing a fruit tree online. And tip number 2, peaches grow best in full sun. And yes, that includes you, Florida. Peach trees bred to grow well in our state can handle our full sun. These trees need ample sunlight to harvest the sun's energy and produce an abundance of peaches. I do not recommend that you plant one in a spot that gets some shade, or you will have less production. Tip number 3, plant your peach tree in a mound. Do not plant it at ground level. Actually, this is how I plant all of my fruit trees. I create a mound that is around 3 feet high and wide with the cheapest compost I can find at the store. I set the root ball of my fruit tree in this mound. Planting higher up really helps with drainage. I can't tell you how many fruit trees I lost to root rot before I learned this trick, especially if you're in a rainy or flooding prone area. I wish I could show you guys what this mound looks like, but I have these flowers growing right in front of my peach tree. But I did build a mound that was like 3 feet tall. Over the years, it will compost down a little bit and sink down. So just make sure you do make that mound like 3 or even 4 feet tall. That way it can compensate for that sinking down a little bit throughout the years. And then every year I also get a free delivery of wood chips from Chip Drop, or you can ask your arborist, and I use it to cover the bottom of all of my fruit trees with a good 4 or 5 inches of wood chips. That will also break down over time and add nutrients back into my fruit trees. Tip number 4 is on managing common pests and diseases that you might get on your peach trees by spraying with horticultural oil during the winter. Preemptively treat your peach trees to prevent a lot of future pest or disease issues. During the fall and winter, when my peach trees go dormant and they lose all of their leaves, I like to spray with horticultural oil every 2 to 3 weeks. This will coat the entire tree and the bark to smother out various overwintering pest eggs and larvae that will repopulate the garden in spring. Horticultural oil also helps to treat powdery mildew, rust, and the leaf spot. A lot of times the spores, fungus, molds, etc. that cause these diseases are dormant on the surface of the bark, so spraying with horticultural oil helps to reduce them. If you're in a hot climate like me, do not spray horticultural oil or any oil-based treatment during the summer. It's too hot and the oil will burn your plants. So wait for cooler temperatures of fall, winter, and early spring. I actually spray horticultural oil on all of my fruit trees as a preventative measure, and I have noticed a huge reduction in a lot of the pests and diseases that wake up and start populating my garden in spring. Tip number 5 has to do with pruning your fruit trees. This is going to hurt you more than the actual tree. You have to heavily heavily prune your peach trees right after you finish harvest everything, which is what I'm gonna do after I harvest all of these peaches on this tree. Peach trees flower and produce fruit on new growth, not old growth and branches. Right now it's May. I'm going to harvest all of these and prune my tree down by at least half. That might seem drastic, but it is necessary if you want to pull the most production out of your trees. Any new growth that this tree grows starting now in May through my summer into fall and maybe early winter, just up until this tree goes dormant, is what will produce the flowers and fruit next spring. I'm going to heavily prune to encourage lots of new growth and also maintain the size of my tree. I can't reach the top of this tree to harvest fruit without using a ladder, which is not ideal for the home backyard gardener. Prune it down to encourage new growth, reinvigorate the tree, make it easier to harvest, and so it can fit in my small garden space. All right, so on to the fun part, harvesting our peaches. Now, every peach cultivar is a little bit different because there's like your standard orange peach, even some that have a little bit of like a red blushing pink, or even there's some white peaches. But what I'm looking for is when the peaches start to blush or turn color. This one right here is still like solid green, but then like this one right here has started blushing. So I look for the blushing ones and gently like squeeze it a little bit. If I feel that it just barely starts to give way when my fingers squeeze on it, then it's ready for harvest. You don't want to wait until they get like absolutely 100% ripe, because then they have a tendency to get kind of mushy on the tree and have like a weird mealy type of texture that I really don't like. So just harvest them just as they start to give away a little bit, and then you can put them on like your kitchen counter because they will continue to ripen up over the course of the next few days. Also, the longer you leave this fruit on the tree, the more critters will come after them, including pests like fruit flies and stuff like that. So keep up with the harvest to prevent a lot of those issues. Last year my tree did flower, but I got absolutely no peaches and I couldn't figure out why. But then this year I found out that a couple squirrels were taking off the green forming fruit off from my peach tree. I actually caught them in action. So that explains why I didn't get any peaches last year. So all the animals in the neighborhood will definitely come after your peaches. I've seen birds peck on them. I found a woodpecker the other day pecking a hole into one. To help with the squirrels, I put out some peanuts so that would distract them for a little bit. They would rather go after the peanuts than the actual peaches. That did help a little bit, but if I didn't keep up with filling the peanut holder thing, they would start coming after my peaches again. Another reason why I want to heavily prune this tree back is because I can easily fit some bird netting and stuff like that over this next time in spring that will greatly help prevent the squirrels, the birds, everything from getting the peaches off my tree. And as you're checking your peaches every day to see which ones are ready for harvest, they all don't ripen up at the very same time. So it's kind of staggered over the course of maybe a week or two. It depends on the variety, but try to like check every day and just harvest the ones that are ready, because again, you don't want to attract the flies, critters, things like that. Today I'm going to harvest what I can. Here's one right here. Now, this peach is a little bit on the small side, but it is so juicy and delicious. Peaches that get to ripen up on the actual tree taste a million times better than anything you can buy at the grocery store. Like, they're actually juicy. Every time I buy a peach at the grocery store, they're really hard and crunchy. That is not what a peach should be like. This variety right here is Florida Prince. I bought it as a 3-gallon size fruit tree and planted it here about 3 years ago. It started fruiting the very next year. So peaches start fruiting very quickly after being planted. So I'm gonna get the ladder and see what else there is to harvest today. All right, so here's all the peaches I was able to harvest today. Not bad for one day's worth of harvest. And there's still lots more forming and growing and still ripening up on this tree. I expect to be harvesting some more over the course of the next week or two. Hopefully my tips will help you grow an abundance of peaches in your own gardens at home. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, please give me a big thumbs up. That helps out my channel more than you know. Thank you for watching and happy gardening.